Alright guys, we got a 22 L5P Duramax. We're going to be doing a couple things on this. We're going to be doing Banks oil pan with the Insane Diesel oil bypass filter.
We're doing the X2.
Because it's a 6.6, so it's got a little bit more oil in there. The oil pan is already installed on this. I'll show you guys a couple videos of what it looks like and then where we're going to be tying in with the oil bypass filter system.
This one's back in. We talked about these fins. This is another view of them and the correlation between the fluid on the inside, the internal fins, and the external fins is what creates all that different surface area. So instead of having a 12-inch by 3-inch area here on a flat bottom pan, that's what 12 to 36 inches of space to radiate heat to atmosphere. Now if we measured all of these fins, depth and everything, we get way more than 36 inches of surface area. So that's what creates a lot more a cooling effect for the oil itself. And what we also talked about on these Banks pans for the return, where you can either return an oil filter bypass like we're going to do, or somebody who wants to see what their oil temperature is, and by using the Banks iDash and the fluid coupling temperature sensor, you can plug in right here in order to gain that access. So the L5P isn't near as bad as its predecessor on retaining oil, but the boss on the inside of the pan, where the drain plug actually threads into, sticks up from the bottom of the pan about that far. And that gives you, your 5 threads that you need in order to get proper clamping force for your drain plug. That boss on the inside of the pan sticks up from the internal height elevation of the inside of the oil pan, thus creating an area right around the bottom of the pan where the oil cannot physically go up and out the drain plug.
What kind of gasket comes with this oil pan that it's...
So this is actually a glue-on. You use an adhesive called 3-Bond, and it comes in the kit. You actually get a caulking gun and the 3-Bond adhesive. It comes in the kit that Banks supplies, and it's silicone on steroids for those of you who've played around with silicone before. When you're pulling the factory pan off, which is glued on with the 3-Bond, you absolutely destroy that pan. Here, let me show you how bad you destroy it. So this is the factory pan after getting it off, and you can see how just getting underneath and prying down the corners so that you can start pulling this thing off, how bad. And it's severely warped.
Oh yeah.
Because you literally, once you get the back corners freed up, you grab a hold of the back and you just yank her down until all that 3-Bond, which is still on here, releases, and you can get this out of the way. And then cleaning all the 3-Bond off that's left on that upper oil pan, it's a chore. That's probably the longest part about this whole job, is cleaning the surfaces. So that's how bad you can destroy a pan. They are a one-time use from General Motors, meaning you can't take it off and then put it back on. You have to replace it. Even if you had the engine out on a stand and upside down, you're not getting it off without bending the flanges.
Yeah.
Period. And the reason why they do that on the Duramaxes is because of longevity. If we were to put an O-ring on that pan, the heat alone from the engine would degrade the O-ring over time. Whereas like on a rear diff cover, you don't see the same temperatures that you do coming from the engine. Yeah. So where the differential, an O-ring is just fine. On the engine pan, O-rings are not fine. You either put a gasket on there like on a Cummins, you get a steel gasket impregnated with rubber and its proper sealing surfaces.
Yeah, where it smashes, it's like a smash gasket.
Correct. And with the glue on, we could glue the Cummins pans on too, but we don't do that. We use a gasket.
All right, and then also, is there anything else that's specific with somebody that's going to be installing this that they need to know about certain things, like putting on the bolts around it? Some people think that they need to...
There is a torque sequence.
Yeah.
There is a very specific torque sequence and a torque setting. You can get that when you order your pan. They'll actually have the links in the literature that takes you to the install videos from Banks, and it'll tell you your torque sequence and your torque spec. It's literally just starting from the middle and working all the way out until you get the whole thing tightened down. It's like 89 inch-pounds is the torque spec. So You're literally squeezing all of the silicone throughout that whole flange surface to seal. And then the other big thing that people need to understand on these, in stock form, you have to drop down the front differential a little bit. For people with lift kits and stuff, that front cross member that has to be removed to install this, if you have a lift kit on there that's now holding the geometry of your suspension, you have to remove that if you don't have at least 10 inches of clearance. So if you're doing it at home and you've already installed a lift kit, depending on the size of the lift kit, there's a chance that that 6-hour job turns into a 12-hour job.
So get this done before a lift kit.
So what we were talking about with the lift kit is this cross member that goes here, which is right over here on the ground right now. We take that out so that we can gain access to remove the pan. Now, if you have a lift kit, there's another cross member that goes in here to relocate the lower control arm mounting points. You have a cross member that goes here and a cross member that goes in through here. That drops that down so that your truck goes up. If you have that system on there and you don't have 10 inches of clearance between the pan and that, you will have fitment issues trying to get your pan back up in there. So you'll have to lower that down, remove it, whatever it's going to take in order to get that at least 10 inches of clearance. They all just drop down really simple. You know, 2 bolts on that front differential on the passenger side or 2 nuts, and you drop down that differential and give yourself plenty of room to maneuver the Banks pan up into.
Perfect.
Yep.